Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you love captivating stories about men transforming into women in unique and fascinating ways, then be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Now, let's jump right into today's tale.
Chapter 5, Medical Transition. Jules had always been the kind of person who faded into beige. But now, as he sat in the waiting room of Dr. Emory's discreet, high-end clinic, he felt anything but invisible. Every movement, the sway of his hip, the bounce of his new breasts beneath a pale silk blouse, the faint tingle between his legs reminded him he was a living masquerade. A chameleon in Chanel, playing a role that grew less like acting with each passing day. The clinic screamed money, all sleek angles and modern art with price tags that would make museum curators weep. Even the magazines were exclusive editions, their glossy covers featuring celebrities Jules had only ever seen from behind velvet ropes. Saskia lounged beside him, flipping through a glossy magazine, legs crossed with a nonchalance that only came from years of being unshockable. She paused on a page featuring Juliet, the real Juliet, at some gala from 6 months prior. Her blood-red gown had caused a minor scandal, the neckline plunging dangerously close to indecent exposure. "You'll be wearing this next week," she commented, tapping the photo. "I've already scheduled the fitting." Jules blanched. "That's practically underwear with delusions of grandeur." "That," Saskia corrected, "is 4,000 pounds of hand-beaded Valentino that made 3 dukes and a minor royal propose in the same evening." She looked over the top of her sunglasses and smirked. Nervous. Jules tried to keep his voice light and feminine, just as Saskia had coached. "I feel like I'm about to be inducted into a very exclusive, very weird sorority." "Sweetheart, every woman's first time at the doctor is terrifying. At least you get champagne and a prescription at the end." Saskia squeezed his knee. "Besides, Dr. Emory is the best in the business. He's been pumping socialites full of Botox and silicone since before either of us was born. Your little hormone cocktail is child's play for him." Jules fidgeted with the hem of his skirt. "And he's discreet. His client list includes 2 princesses, half a dozen pop stars, and at least 1 prominent politician who was born with very different equipment than they currently possess." Saskia's red lips curved into a smile. "Trust me, your secret is safer with him than in a Swiss bank vault." A stunning receptionist with cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass called Miss Rivers, and Jules stood, smoothing his skirt and following Saskia down a private hallway. Each click of his heels against the marble floor echoed his racing heartbeat. The office was all cream and chrome, with a subtle fragrance of lilies and something sharper antiseptic: danger, change. Dr. Emory greeted them with a warm, practiced smile. He was the kind of man who seemed to see everything, but never judged, silver-haired, impeccably dressed, with the steady hands of a surgeon and eyes that had witnessed every human frailty imaginable. "Juliet, so good to see you again. Or should I say, the new Juliet?" His voice was velvet smooth, cultivated in the finest schools money could buy. Jules blushed, heart-thudding. "You know." "Of course he knows," Saskia interjected. "Did you think we were going to play charades with your medical care?" Doctor, my friend here needs estrogen for reasons, purely hypothetical reasons." Dr. Emory shrugged, glancing at Saskia. "Your sister briefed me, off the record, of course." His eyes appraised Jules with clinical precision. "Remarkable resemblance. The bone structure is identical, you're working with excellent raw material." He motioned to the exam table. "Let's get started. Saskia, you can stay if Miss Rivers is comfortable with that." "I'd prefer it," Jules admitted, suddenly anxious at the thought of facing this alone. Jules perched on the table, trying not to fidget as Dr. Emory washed his hands and donned latex gloves with practiced efficiency. The paper crinkled beneath him, the sound unnervingly loud in the quiet room. Dr. Emory flipped through a thick file, then looked up, eyes kind and direct. "You've already begun the basics: birth control, physical presentation. Today we start the real work: hormone therapy, high dose for rapid change. This will kickstart the puberty you missed as a teenage male. For all that matters, this will trigger a female puberty in you to the point where you will soon generate your own estrogen. Are you ready?" Jules hesitated for the briefest moment, a kaleidoscope of emotions fluttering through his chest: fear, anticipation, excitement, dread, then nodded. Yes, please. Excellent, the doctor smiled. I should warn you, the changes won't be subtle. We're essentially compressing years of female puberty into months. Your body is going to be very confused. She's already confused, Saskia quipped. Yesterday she tried to pee standing up while wearing a Dior pencil skirt. It was an emergency, Jules protested, cheeks flaming. And I'd had 3 mimosas. The doctor smiled. We'll do a quick physical, then blood work. You'll start with injections and pills. Side effects will come: fast, softer skin, mood swings, breast buds. The first few weeks can be a wild ride. Define wild ride, Jules asked nervously. Imagine adolescence, but compressed and intensified, Dr. Emory explained. Emotional volatility, physical sensitivity, physical changes occurring at an accelerated rate. Your body is about to become a very active construction zone. Saskia grinned. She can handle it. She survived waxing. Russian waxing, Jules clarified, with a woman I'm convinced was trained by the KGB. Ah, Yelena, Dr. Emory nodded knowingly. She does excellent work, terrifying but excellent. Dr. Emory's exam was gentle but thorough. He checked Jules's vitals, examined the integration of the breast forms, remarkable technology, almost seamless, and explained how the prosthetic would interact with the hormone therapy. The neural interfaces in both prosthetics will become even more responsive as your body chemistry changes, he explained. Estrogen increases sensitivity throughout the body, skin, nerve endings. Everything becomes more receptive to stimulus. You may find sensations intensified. What about? Jules gestured vaguely downward. Your genitals? Dr. Emory supplied matter-of-factly. The antiandrogens will reduce spontaneous erections and likely decrease size over time. The testes will atrophy somewhat. All of this works in your favor with the prosthetic: less to tuck, less discomfort. Jules swallowed hard. And is that reversible? Dr. Emory's expression remained neutral. Mostly. Fertility may be compromised long-term, but form and function generally return if hormone therapy is discontinued. However, that's not our concern at present, is it? No, Jules agreed, pushing away the fleeting moment of doubt. It's not. Excellent, the doctor continued. Now, as for breast development, the forms you're wearing will accommodate natural tissue growth beneath. You'll likely notice tenderness first, then small buds forming. Given your genetic predisposition, your sister's natural endowment, I'd expect significant development. Significant meaning? Jules asked. C-cup, possibly D, Dr. Emory replied. The breast forms will integrate with your natural tissue as it develops, creating a seamless transition. Eventually, they'll be more supplemental than primary. Jules felt a strange flutter in his stomach, half excitement, half terror. Real breasts. His own, growing beneath the artificial ones. At last, Dr. Emory handed over the first vials of estrogen and antiandrogens, along with a bright pink pill organizer. Take these exactly as directed. If you ever feel strange, call me. And remember, this is a journey, not a sprint. Jules stared at the little pink and blue pills, heart fluttering. He swallowed the first dose right there, feeling Saskia squeeze his hand. Welcome to girlhood, darling, she whispered. No turning back now. Dr. Emory prepared the first injection, explaining as he worked. This is estradiol valerate. You'll need these weekly. Saskia tells me she's trained in administration, so she can handle your shots going forward. Jules winced as the needle pierced his skin, the clear liquid burning slightly as it entered his bloodstream. It felt ceremonial somehow, this chemical baptism. The effects will begin almost immediately, Dr. Emory continued, applying a small bandage to the injection site. Within days, you'll notice changes in skin texture, emotional responses, energy levels. Within weeks, breast development will begin, body fat will redistribute, facial features will soften further. Your sister's genetic blueprint gives us a perfect roadmap of what to expect. As they left the clinic, prescription bags in hand, Jules felt oddly lightheaded, not from the medication, which couldn't possibly have taken effect yet, but from the finality of what he'd just done. The chemical rewriting of his body had officially begun. "Fancy a celebratory drink?" Saskia asked, sliding her arm through his. "There's a divine little bar around the corner, perfect for your first public outing as a medically enhanced woman." "I shouldn't drink on medication," Jules protested weakly. "Oh, please," Saskia rolled her eyes. "If women couldn't drink on medication, the entire economy of Manhattan would collapse. One champagne cocktail won't kill you. It might even help with the first night jitters." The days that followed unfolded in a blur of sensation. The hormones hit him hard and fast, just as Dr. Emory had warned. By the third day, Jules noticed the first changes, subtle but undeniable. His skin felt softer, almost silken, the texture changing as if he'd been given an invisible full-body facial. When he ran his fingers over his forearm, the sensation was different, more sensitive, more responsive. His nipples ached against the fabric of his blouse, tender in a way he'd never experienced before. Even the lightest touch sent sharp tingles across his chest. The breast forms, once simply prosthetic, now seemed to transmit every sensation directly to the increasingly sensitive tissue beneath. "That's the breast buds forming," Saskia explained over morning coffee, watching him wince as he adjusted his bra. "Your very own training bra moment. Isn't puberty fun the second time around?" "It's like someone's attached live wires to my chest," Jules complained. "How do women function like this?" "We complain about it constantly, yet secretly enjoy the heightened sensitivity," Saskia replied with a wicked smile. "Wait until someone else touches them. The discomfort suddenly becomes much more interesting." He would catch himself in the mirror and see Juliet's face, his face growing more delicate, lips plush, cheeks flushed with a new, unforced color. The hormones were softening his features in subtle ways, rounding the angles, plumping the skin. His eyes seemed larger, more luminous, lashes thicker. "Your pores are shrinking," Saskia observed one morning, examining his face with critical appreciation. "And your lips are fuller. The estrogen is redistributing collagen, enhancing all the right places." Even his sense of smell had changed, intensified somehow. Perfumes that once seemed pleasant now contained complex notes he'd never detected before. Foods tasted different too, flavors more pronounced, textures more significant. But the most disconcerting changes were the emotional ones. Jules found himself tearing up at commercials, laughing more readily, flaring with irritation at small provocations. His emotional landscape had become more volatile, more vivid. "I nearly cried at a dog food commercial yesterday," he confessed to Saskia during one of their daily lessons. "The puppy looked sad for 5 seconds, and suddenly I'm a fountain." "Welcome to estrogen," Saskia replied, adjusting his posture with a firm hand between his shoulder blades. "It's like emotional HD, everything in higher definition, brighter colors, surround sound." Saskia pushed him harder than ever. Voice lessons every morning, more breath, less throat, darling. Posture drills, endless hours walking in heels until his calves burned. She was relentless but effective each day. The performance became more natural, less conscious. "Head up, shoulders back, imaginary string pulling from the crown of your head," she instructed, circling him like a fashionable drill sergeant. "Your hips are loosening up nicely. The hormones help with that. Relaxes the ligaments, allows for a more feminine gait." "Is that why my joints feel strange?" Jules asked, rolling his shoulders experimentally. "Like they're looser." "Precisely," Saskia nodded. "Estrogen increases flexibility. Excellent for your posture, devastating for contact sports. Why do you think female gymnasts peak at 12? His body was changing in other ways too, subtle shifts in fat distribution creating softer contours, rounding his face, patting his hips. The harsh angles of masculinity were gradually yielding to curves. Even his behind was changing shape, becoming rounder, more pronounced. "Your ass is magnificent," Saskia declared one afternoon, admiring his profile in a new pair of jeans. "The hormones are doing exactly what they should, taking fat from your belly and relocating it to all the right places. Juliet will be jealous." "I doubt that," Jules muttered, but couldn't help a small thrill of satisfaction. The jeans did fit perfectly, hugging new curves he hadn't possessed a month ago. But it was the little changes, the ones that crept up on him alone at night, that shook him most. The way his thoughts spun, more emotional, more volatile. The ache beneath his breast forms that suggested something was growing there, soon to fill his hands. The sensation between his legs new, strange, almost electric, reminding him again and again that he was becoming something else. The prosthetic vagina seemed increasingly sensitive as the hormones altered his nervous system. Sensations that had once been pleasant were now almost overwhelming. A brush of fabric, a shift in position, the pressure of sitting a certain way. The neural interface transmitted every touch with heightened fidelity, creating feedback loops of pleasure that caught him off guard at the most inconvenient moments. His original equipment was changing too, shrinking slightly, less prone to spontaneous arousal, yet somehow more sensitive when stimulated. The duality was confusing, exhilarating, occasionally frustrating. Each night he lay in Juliet's bed, one hand drifting down, exploring the prosthetic and the new nerves humming beneath it. He gasped as pleasure spiked, sharper and somehow deeper than before. The sensations were different now, less localized, more diffuse, spreading through his body in waves rather than concentrating in one area. For the first time, he touched himself and didn't think of what he was, only what he was becoming. The hormones had altered not just his body, but his responses, extending arousal, intensifying sensation, changing the very landscape of pleasure. 3 weeks into hormone therapy, Jules experienced his first full-body orgasm, a rolling, pulsing wave that seemed to go on forever, leaving him trembling and disoriented. It was nothing like the sharp, concentrated release he'd known before. This was expansive, all-consuming, almost frightening in its intensity. The female orgasm is an entirely different creature, Saskia explained when he hesitantly confided in her. More complex, more varied, more orchestral. The male version is a solo instrument, the female is a symphony. Jules found himself more physically aware in general, conscious of textures against his skin, the weight of jewelry, the sensation of wind on his face. The world felt more immediate, more tactile. His coordination had shifted too. He was clumsier in some ways, but more graceful in others. The hormones were rewiring his proprioception, changing how he perceived his body and space. One evening, Saskia found him at the window, city lights glittering below. He wore only a silk robe, loosely belted, his transformed silhouette visible in the glass reflection, the swell of breasts, the narrowed waist, the curve of hip. 6 weeks of hormone therapy had reshaped him more dramatically than either of them had anticipated. Feeling different, she asked quietly, joining him at the window. Jules nodded, eyes bright. I don't know who I am anymore, but I don't want to go back. Why would you? Saskia asked, her usual sharp wit softened by genuine curiosity. Back to being invisible, back to watching life instead of living it. It wasn't all bad, Jules murmured, but the protest lacked conviction. It wasn't all good either, Saskia countered. Look at you now, you're luminous. The hormones have given you a glow that women pay thousands to fake. She wasn't wrong. His skin had a translucent quality now, a dewiness that no amount of expensive skincare could replicate. His eyes seemed brighter, his features more harmonious. The hormones were completing what genetics had begun, perfecting the feminine blueprint already encoded in his DNA. Saskia smiled, wrapping an arm around his waist. That's the spirit, Juliet. The only way out is through. As the city pulsed below, Jules leaned into her warmth, heart thudding with fear, hope, and an undeniable thrill. The journey had truly begun. His body was changing, chemically, physically, irrevocably, becoming the perfect mirror of his twin. What had started as masquerade was evolving into something more permanent, more profound. Tomorrow would bring more changes, more challenges, more discoveries. But tonight, standing at the window with the city spread before him like a promise, Jules felt only anticipation for what was to come.